appear, and kindle it thy holy flame bestowing. Oh, let it freely burn, till earthly passions turn to dust and ashes in its heat consuming. And let thy glorious light shine ever on my sight, and clothe me round the while my path illuming. Let holy charity mine outward vesture be, and lowliness become mine inner clothing. True lowliness of heart, which takes the humbler part, and pride in earthly glory scorns with loathing. And so the yearning strong, with which the soul will long, shall far outpass the power of human telling. For none can guess its grace, till love creates a place wherein the Holy Spirit makes a dwelling.
Good morning, St. Andrews. in every conversation of late, there has been some reference about a new normal. Many ask, when will we be able to go back to normal, meaning the way things were before? Others refer to a new normal following the quarantine with the hope that some of the changes we've experienced are in fact quite positive, and we hope they lead to new behaviors. We are becoming aware that in spite of the changes and challenges that we have had to adopt, many of these are quite positive and opportunities for us to hold on to deeper expressions of kindness, appreciation, and civility. After the resurrection, the disciples ran and hid. They quarantined themselves in fear of the dangers that were out there, unsure of the future. They were certain that life would never again be like it was before. Change had been forced upon them, and they were not sure how it would all shake out in their lives, and the fear of what their new normal would be, added to the grief over their losses, was what awaited them outside their seclusion and the absolute uncertainty of their future. Into their cauldron of change emerged Jesus. Their closed door was no boundary for Jesus, who burst into their safe space unannounced. All the disciples were there, except Thomas. More on Thomas in a moment. Jesus' greeting reminded them of the way he had always greeted them before. Peace be with you. It was as if the last few days had only been a dream. His words and his presence were comforting and familiar. Their grief was gone. Missing was the fear that had led them to distance themselves from the dangers outside their safe space. But those burdens and fears suddenly evaporated when Jesus spoke that comforting greeting, "Peace be with you." In spite of our own physical distancing, I have been comforted in these weeks to be able to hear the familiar words, "Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name," and to hear the words of the psalmist, who communicates peace as well when he says, "This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it." I've been surprised by cards and calls that have reminded me of the dangers that what is out there is no match for God's blessings of peace. Thomas had not been present and struggled with doubt over the news. "You will never guess who we just saw," the disciples reported. It's difficult to know what to expect, isn't it? Thomas's fears were not as much about the perceived threats from out there, but his fear focused more on his own internal doubts about what could and could not be. He would need to see, feel, and experience for himself. A week later, he was given that opportunity. Again, Jesus burst past their barricades with the familiar peace. It is interesting that when the circumstances around us change dramatically, What does not change is God's cry of peace. Peter, in writing about this later in his epistle, said, "Our living hope is ours through the resurrection of Jesus Christ. That is secure, but for a little while there will come the various trials that we will suffer. Our trials are real. We are unsure when the days of challenge will ever be over, or what our new normal will look like. But we are assured that God's peace can be trusted. Rather than needing to feel Jesus' scars, maybe Thomas just needed to see that whatever the new normal, Jesus would continue to hold him securely. Then Jesus reminded them all, the way that it used to be is not the way that you are going to be. Could that be our reality as well? In his book, Remembering, Wendell Berry tells the story of Andy Catlett, a middle-aged man stuck in an unhappiness he did not know how to escape. Andy lost his right hand in a farming accident. Berry says, this is what Andy attached himself to the world with, and to lose his hand was to lose his hold on what was secure. In time, Andy would come to understand that even when we can no longer hold onto that which we have previously believed is immovable and secure, we are still held in the peaceful embrace of God. Berry concludes with the reminder, remembering is the means by which we recall what God did yesterday. So we will live assured that our present fears and our future anxieties are calmed by God's past faithfulness. May it be so for each of us. Amen.
Alleluia, alleluia, give thanks to the risen Lord. Alleluia, alleluia, give praise to his name. Jesus is Lord of all the earth. He is the King of creation.